Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? RPG Day 2017 is still over, but it's still not over for me yet because even though it's the 2nd of September, I am going to film another alternate question. Is it filming when you're doing it with your laptop and there's no actual film involved? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the answer for that is. Let's see. But our question is, what part or parts of a session do you look forward to the most? So I got a few answers for that, I suppose. I'm going to say the first thing that I really look forward to is that moment, and I'm never sure when it's going to happen in a session. You know, the sooner the better. Is when we all kind of just step into our characters and things start becoming less mechanical. And I don't mean in terms of game mechanics. I mean, you know, at some point as players and as game master, we all just kind of cross over that threshold. And you know the players are all inhabiting their characters. The game master is really involved in the world. He's involved with he or she is involved with their NPCs, with what's going on, and we're not like having that two-level conversation. You know, it still exists where you're thinking about what you're doing in the game, and then you're inhabiting your character. But at some point, you just kind of slide right into that character, and you know, hopefully that real magical moment is where everybody seems to kind of slide into their characters. And although you're still a group of players around the table, you know, that doesn't disappear. But you know, for the most part, you're all just kind of in character, and you're no longer. It seems like there's this barrier that kind of disappears. I don't know if you can relate to that, but that's this magical moment to me, like when all of a sudden we are just all in character. And sometimes it happens really fast. Sometimes we kind of fade in and out of that. But that moment of immersion, for lack of a better word, for me that's like the sweet spot. That's, you know, I've talked about before. That's the wire, getting up on the wire, like Father Winland would say, or Papa Winland. I'm not sure which they called him, but that basic idea, you know, life is on the wire. Everything else is waiting around. So when we're in that immersed mode, that to me is the part of any game session I wait for the most. However, there's some other parts. The other parts is like when, you know, as players, we kind of just completely derail everything. And I don't mean necessarily that the game session was a railroad, but you know, whether as players we do that, if I'm a player that's involved with that, or if I'm a game master and the players do this to me, where all of a sudden the players give this kind of like left hook, you know, out of nowhere, and the game master is just completely stymied. Like, I just never saw that coming. I love that. You know, I love those moments where the game master does that to the players, but that's more of just kind of like a surprise thing about the world, which will happen every once in a while. But it's more like when the players just pull something, like, you know, just out of a hat. And sometimes this happens really organically, and you as a group of players don't even see this coming. You know, maybe one player kind of does that, and everybody else is just like, kind of, holy crap, what just happened here? I love that. So that's one of those moments that I, you know, really wait for in a game. And I don't know if it's going to happen or not happen, but those times when it does happen, you're just phenomenal. I like that. It's very frenetic. It's very crazy. It's often one of those things where you sit back, you know, after the game, you're like, I couldn't have wrote that. Couldn't have come up with that idea. And I think almost nobody at the table could have come up with that idea, but it just emerged organically during play. That's part of the playing to find out. Playing to find out for me is that sort of experience. Like, just nobody saw that coming. Sometimes nobody involved saw that coming. I love it when that happens. That's another moment I wait for. And the other moment, I suppose, which is kind of related, is those moments in a game session where it just all hits the fan. Everything just goes crazy. And it's sort of related, but not really. And it doesn't always have to be something like combat. But those moments when just the rug gets pulled out from under you, when the situations become very tense, very dire, and it could be very tense or very dire in a variety of ways. Doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be physical. But you know, all of a sudden, when things become fast-paced, frenetic, there's real risks, there are real consequences. You know, I just love those moments. I mean, they can be really scary. They can be really gut-wrenching. You can have a lot of concern at this point. Does my character die, or do really bad things happen? But I love that. You know, I had those moments where all of a sudden, you know, one player said the wrong thing, and all of a sudden the rest of the party is running through the snow from where they were, leaving all their possessions behind, having to move to a different area of the world because just everything is just kind of just falling apart. And I've been in that situation years ago. I talked about that situation. As misfortunate as that was, I love that. Those moments where just things go completely haywire in any game. I like that. So that's it. Really, for me, it's that those moments of immersion where we're all we all step into character. It's all humming on. Things are humming on all 4 cylinders or 8 cylinders. I like I like a V8. Yeah, all cylinders are firing. And then outside the immersion, it's those times when just the players completely drive it. Take a hard left turn into the unknown. Nobody saw that coming. And then those moments where it just becomes really chaotic and frenetic. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be combat. That's one of the reasons I think that I like the really fast and loose combat. I'm not a tactical combat person, because I like it to be just like completely helter-skelter, just out of control. So yeah, those are the moments in any game session that I really look forward to the most. And there are other times that I've certainly had really poignant moments, some really some cool experiences. So I'm not going to say I don't dislike, or I dislike those. But I don't necessarily look forward to them. They show up, and I say, oh, that was really cool. That was really interesting. That was really touching, or whatever happens. Really profound, or never thought of that. But those are the big 3 for me. So what about you? What are the moments in a game session that you look forward to the most?